Hi, I'm Kai Cheng Tom. You're watching Ask Kai, Quick Tips for the Apocalypse, a series of short videos in which I answer your questions about sex, love, dating, romance, relationships, other related tangentially things in the context of ongoing late stage digital capitalism, a pandemic, and global decay. Love it. Great. So today's fantastic question is, can everyone have nipple orgasms or just some people? And I really think this is a fantastic question. I don't know who asked it, I don't know why, but I think that a lot of people might like to know. Some people might not have known that nipple orgasms existed at all, ever in the first place. And a lot of us who are interested in high intensity sexual or erotic feelings might want to know, like, how do you get a nipple orgasm? What's that like? I am not a world expert in nipple orgasms. I am not a sexual neurobiologist. So I need to qualify my answer by saying I'm a sex educator and like relatively a lay person. And that's where my answers come from. So you may want to look this up yourself, or if you are an expert on the nipple orgasm and you want to make a video of your own taking me down about my answer to this, then I welcome that, because I too would like more nipple pleasure in my life. On a base level, though, what is a nipple orgasm? I would say, I am of the school of thought of sex educators who likes to say that orgasm is a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and the experience of it is, somewhat subjective. Of course, there are different models and kind of scientific understandings of what an orgasm is, but if we're really trying to be open and inclusive, which I think we are, we're trying to be open and inclusive, then, we want to accept that people have sex in a number of different ways, and orgasm means whatever it means to you in, your own pleasure and your own enjoyment. So I would define a nipple orgasm as a feeling of intense sexual or physical pleasure resulting from stimulation of the nipples. And it's that way, we kind of leave it open to a wide number of bodies and embodied experiences. It doesn't have to, for example, include ejaculation or any kind of lubrication. It's about this kind of wave or intense feeling of sexual or erotic or purely physical pleasure. So how do you get a nipple orgasm? So this is the thing, is I've talked about the vending machine model of sex and sexual pleasure before, and I think it applies here. We have this idea in the dominant culture that sexual pleasure and sex work like a vending machine. You put the right amount of change into a slot and you push some buttons, and then an orgasm comes out, or sexual pleasure comes out. And this is the way that a lot of 90s and early thousands, honestly, just a lot of magazines and media in general treat sex. It's like, what's the technique? Where's the G spot? Where's the P spot? What do you do to the body, which is a machine, so that it then, pops out an orgasm? And that's not really, in my experience, how sex works. The body really isn't a vending machine when it comes to sexual pleasure. It's more like dynamic, fluid, flowing animal, plant, oozing, solid, gorgeous, abstract, dancing kind of thing. So it's like it's really fluid and unique, is what I'm trying to say. And everyone's body is different, and the same combination of moves isn't going to work from body to body, and it might not even work on the same body in different contexts. We have to be feeling right. We should probably be comfortable, or in a situation that feels sexy for us. Can everyone experience nipple orgasm? Well, I would never say never, but I certainly know that there are a lot of folks out there who don't experience a lot of erogenous feelings when they have their nipples stimulated. Some don't feel anything at all in terms of sexy feelings. And then, of course, there are some folks for whom, like, the actual nerve endings in the nipple and chest area are not active. And so there actually is numbness in that area. And I would assume that for folks who have little or no sensitivity in that area, probably wouldn't experience a nipple orgasm. But still, I could see how someone might get really turned on by the visual of having their nipples stimulated by someone else, or perhaps even by themselves, or just the idea. Orgasm is really magical that way. Some people really need like direct physical sensation and stimulation, and other people really need sort of ideas, image, visual, internal sensation. So it's still possible, though I think less likely. How do you get a nipple orgasm if you haven't had one before? Well, I think this comes down to exploration. How much have we tried playing with our nipples? Different kinds of stimulation are needed for different kinds of people. Different levels of intensity are needed for different kind of people. So if you've never had a nipple orgasm before, but you're really interested in trying to have one, I might suggest playing with your nipples or experimenting with them in ways that you haven't before. Gentle, then harder, stroking, teasing, pinching, using devices. I would just say a general rule of thumb is, go at a relatively slow pace, give yourself room, don't hurt yourself, don't do anything that might be medically hazardous. And, insofar as you are safe and having a good time, then keep on exploring and see what happens. And if you don't have a nipple orgasm, even after all of that time, the hope is that you still found something that felt good for you, because orgasm isn't the be-all, end-all of sexual pleasure. Feeling good, I would say, is the general object of sexual pleasure. So hopefully you still get something really fun and amazing. Okay, that's it for me, kids. I'm Kai Cheng Tom. You've been watching Ask Kai, Quick Tips for the Apocalypse. Stay safe, wash your hands, play with your nipples if you want to, don't if you don't. It's all good.